42 comes out this weekend, directed by Brian Helgeland. Helgeland? Not sure how you pronounce it. But I thought this would be a great time to take you back to his 1999 feature debut, Payback. Alright guys, so Brian Helgeland was a writer. Movies like LA Confidential and a bunch of horror stuff, and he's gone on to write other awesome stuff since then. Payback was his feature directorial debut, and it was a complicated situation, more so than I realized at the time. I'll tell you about that afterwards. One thing I do have to do is set you up. This is a Mel Gibson movie in 1999, okay? This is after all 4 Lethal Weapon movies. This is after Braveheart, Guys on Top of the World. It's before everybody started hating him, you know, because of all of his crazy. Remember this, Mel Gibson in 1999 is a hero. Let's check out 1999's Payback. Mel Gibson plays Porter, and we first meet Porter in the very dirty room of a back alley doctor who is carving bullets out of his back. Porter is awake during the operation. Must be a pretty tough guy. And then we find out Porter must be in Chicago because that's the L train that I ride on every week. Porter gets off the L, steals money from a bum who claims he can't walk. So Porter clearly pointing out his deceit when taking his money. Porter didn't have any money prior to this. He gets $3 from the bum. He goes and gets a cup of coffee. The waitress charges him $2.98, gives her his $3, takes 2 pennies out of her other tip, no change, and steals her cigarettes. So then he looks for a guy who looks kind of like him on the street, goes up, steals his wallet, gets some money. Then he charges some watches, heads to the pawn shop, trades the watches for a gun and $500. Now you know this is when the movie takes place in America because the only thing the guy who gives him a gun asks for is to see a little ID. And he walks out the door. 7 minutes have passed in the movie, and Porter has gone from being shot up with no money to having a gun between $500 and $800 and a full pack of cigarettes. 7 minutes of the movie have passed. You know you're with a pretty reliable, if not, you know, on the up and up protagonist. Goes and visits his wife. Finds out she's still on heroin. She says, no, no, no.
You're cleaning up.
He hops in the shower. She finds a stash in her shoe. Porter wakes up in the morning and she is dead. Followed by an amazing, amazing shot that sums up this whole marriage. A wedding ring hanging on the heroin needle that killed his wife. Are you kidding me? That's amazing! Brian Helgeland! Helgeland. Then we jump into a flashback of Porter getting a call from a guy named Val, who needs his help with a robbery so that he can get enough money to get back in with the outfit. It's the mob of this no-named town. Shot in Chicago, obviously. That's the L I take. So what they're basically going to do is steal from these Chinese gang dudes.
They weren't wearing their seatbelts.
Classic robbery routine for anybody not wearing a seatbelt. Val's like, it's not enough money, it's not enough money. And then Porter's wife shoots him in the back. Val pulls out this photograph and is like, I found this photo of you cheating on your wife, and she didn't really understand. And then he steals the money, and then they leave Porter to die. After the flashback is over, Porter wakes up. Freddy Rodriguez is at his door. Freddy Rodriguez is amazing. He's amazing in Planet Terror.
No, the other way.
He's amazing in Lady in the Water.
What's wrong with you, Reggie? Why are you only working out on one side of your body?
He's amazing in 6 Feet Under. Freddy Rodriguez should be a much bigger star than he currently is. So Freddy Rodriguez shows up at Porter's door with a bunch of heroin. He beats the guy and tears out his nose ring, and Porter asks him, where's Val? Dude doesn't know Val. He gets the heroin from Stegman. And Porter's like, where's Stegman? Stegman is hanging out with a couple of dirty cops who didn't know he was dealing heroin. But Stegman's like, don't worry about it, dirty cops. You're on the payroll. Shut up. Just give me my heroin back. Stegman tells Porter that Val is back in with the syndicate, and Porter says, tell Val that I want my money. $140,000 is what they got from that robbery. He wants $70,000 of it, his fair cut. That's all he wants. Tell him I want my $70,000. So we see Val in the Outfit Hotel. And who should show up but Lucy Liu? Lucy Liu's awesome. Charlie's Angels 1 is awesome. I don't care what you say. So Lucy Liu shows up to dominatrix him, and Val gets a call from Stegman. He goes to meet Stegman. Stegman says that Porter is back and he wants his money. Val is not too happy to hear about that. Porter goes to see Rosie. Rosie is a prostitute who used to drive for her and be her bodyguard. She's a prostitute for the outfit, so presumably she knows where everybody is. Porter asks her where Val is. She says he's at the hotel with the outfit. What's the address? She gives him the address. Straight to the room. I want my 70 grand by tomorrow or I'm gonna shoot you. This is all going very fast, but there's something you need to understand about this flick. The dialogue is just so good. The characterizations are awesome. The tone of it is fantastic. Porter is such a cool protagonist. The guys that he's beating up on are all bad dudes. You know what I mean? He had to beat up the Stegman's bodyguard to get in there, but we didn't care because the dude was being a jerk. Seems to be only manipulating people who are as bad as he is. and he's doing it very well, which makes him very cool. So Val goes to see the boss, whose name is Carter. Carter is like, you know, we would know that we made the right choice welcoming you back into the outfit if you would take care of this Porter problem yourself. He's like, no problem, I'll take care of it. Val tells the Chinese guys that Porter was the one who stole their payroll. So when Porter shows up to the drop, the Chinese guys show up and are about to kill him. When the dirty cops show up. The Chinese guys can't kill him, but then the dirty cops tell him that they want the money that he's chasing after, or they're going to blame him for the death of his wife and several other crimes that they can pin on him. So then he heads back. Then we find out that they had feelings for each other before he got married. And then they start getting all romantic, and Porter takes off saying, no, he's got too much to take care of. Uh-oh, Val shows up. He followed Porter to Rosie's. Val starts beating up on Rosie, and then he suggests he's going to do some things that are very untoward. Boom, Porter shows up, shoots him in the shoulder, shoots him in the knee.
Forgot my cigarettes.
That's why he came back. He only came back not for the lady that he supposedly had feelings for at one time, but because he forgot his smokes. Smoking is not cool, kids. Don't do it. It leads to nothing but a life of prostitutes and crime. Payback is evidence enough of that. So he asks Val, who's the top guy at the outfit? Val says, it's Fairfax and Carter, Fairfax and Carter. Porter ices Val, and then he and Rosie head to a motel. He just left a dead body in her apartment, so gotta get out of there. In the hotel, he says, we're okay here, nobody knows I'm here. Phone starts ringing. He's like, okay. He checks under the bed. The phone is wired to explosives. The dog doesn't think that's great either. He checks out the window and sees some guys from the outfit sitting outside waiting on the phone. So they're calling his hotel room to try and get him to blow up. Instead, he blows them up. So Porter goes to see Mr. Carter. He takes out the guards and asks for his 70 grand. Carter says that he's not authorized to do that. Porter says, who is the top guy? There's always one guy in charge of everything. Carter says, it's Mr. Bronson. So he calls Bronson, played by Chris Christopherson.
Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues.
And he says,
Well, either I get my money or I'll kill Carter.
Are you threatening me?
I'm not threatening you, I'm threatening Carter.
I'm just telling you, all of the dialogue in this movie, it's so dry and it's so funny. Even though the characters are playing these archetypes, you kind of like all of them. Even though they're all bad people, they all have kind of laugh lines. It's just really, really great. Bronson says he's not going to pay Porter. Porter kills Carter.
Call Fairfax and tell him I just croaked Carter.
And he's next.
And after that, I'm coming to get you.
And we're going to stop there. I'll tell you what happens at the end of Payback in a second, but first we're going to talk about what happened to Payback in '99. It was a bad scene, okay? Mel Gibson was producing it, and Brian Helgeland, his screenplay, was not what happened here, all right? They shot the Helgeland movie, but it was too dark. There were a couple things that went on, got taken out for the theatrical version, which was the first version that I saw, and then were released in a DVD release called Payback Straight Up, the director's cut. And I was so excited. I saw it in the theater in '99, and I loved it, and then I got the VHS, and I watched it, and I watched it. I'm the guy who loves directors, and I'm like, it's gotta be even better. If that was the studio version, imagine what Helgeland wanted it to be. So I rented it, and immediately I was like, nope. Initial scene of him getting the bullets taken out of his back, which sets such a cool tone, is not there. It starts with Mel just walking down the street, no narration. The narration is kind of like a noirish device that I liked in the theatrical edition. In the director's cut, there's no narration. There was never supposed to be any narration. And a lot of the writing of the narration is like very cool and quippy, and he makes light of really like tough situations, and that's how you know he's such a tough guy. He gets to his wife's place and beats her when he sees track marks on her. Punches her right in the face, throws her against the stove. At that point, I was like, I don't know about this. The entire third act of the theatrical version was rewritten by like Mel Gibson and some other dude, and Helgeland wouldn't shoot it. In the director's cut, it was all very anticlimactic. It didn't feel like the end of the movie was coming. It just like, gunfight, not even a real big gunfight. He gets some money, okay, he kills some guys, and the outfit's gonna continue going on doing their thing, and he is going to go off and maybe bleed to death or maybe live, who knows. As you'll see in the theatrical ending, even when he is being put through the ringer big time, he still keeps it together. And that's what I like about Porter as a protagonist. He's not a good guy, but he is a very capable guy. If he's only beating up on bad guys, then I'm fine with that. And as long as he's not beating women. The theatrical version, I liked a lot, and that was the studio version. Mel and this other guy developed the entire third act that I'm going to tell you about. Watching the two versions of Payback, it's really, really shocking how some cool bleach bypass color correction on the theatrical version, which looks all blue, that's called a bleach bypass, a dynamic opening, a dynamic third act, and some sarcastic narration can change the entire feel of a movie. I know it's not cool to side against a director's cut, especially when his version is so much darker and grittier. As a film guy and a content creator myself, I'm supposed to side with that guy. They screened Payback straight up at the Ain't It Cool news screening in Austin. Tore the roof off the place. Everybody loved it. But I love the cool, calm, collected Porter of the theatrical cut. Guy gets shot in the back, opens his eyes on the operating table, and then goes around taking care of business. Without flying off the handle, he can handle it no matter what. In the director's cut, he's more of just a guy who's capable of flying off the handle, barely holding on as all of this happens, instead of a guy who can handle whatever comes his way. Like Bruce Willis is John McClane until this last travesty of a film. Just a normal guy who, no matter what you threw at him, would find a way to get through it and come out on top. This week, I have a question about this Mel Gibson situation. In '99, Mel Gibson was on top of the world. Then he started becoming a horrible person. He became the Porter of Brian Helgeland's version of the movie instead of the Porter of my theatrical cut. So we all stopped liking him. My question is something that Woody Allen raises a lot, including in one of the greatest movies ever, Bullets Over Broadway. Can you separate the artist from the art? Now that you know he's crazy, can you still enjoy his work, or is your knowledge of his personal life going to affect you? Yes, I can enjoy it. No, the fact that I know that they're crazy makes me not enjoy it. Let me know in the comments. Here's what happens in the end of the theatrical cut of 1999's Payback. Hi, Beebs.
Hi, sweetie.
Porter kills Carter, and then he gets the cop's prints on the gun that he used to shoot Val, and he leaves it at the crime scene. While Porter's on speakerphone, he hears Bronson's son say he's going to this fight that night. So he goes to the boxing match, and with Rosie's help, kidnaps Bronson's son. Then he goes to Fairfax's place, the other guy who was in co-charge with Carter underneath Bronson. He tells Fairfax to call Bronson. He calls Bronson, and before he can say anything, he's like, look, I've got your kid Johnny. If you don't give me my $70,000, you're never going to see Johnny again. But Johnny was kind of a douche, so we don't feel like really that bad for Porter kidnapping him. And all of these guys in the outfit are all criminals too. So again, it's not like Porter's hurting good people. Internal affairs comes for the dirty cops who are watching where Porter is, but now they're out of the equation. They are framed for Val's murder. However, Stegman and his bodyguard tell Porter to get in the cab at gunpoint. Stegman is not great at being a bad guy. That's when the Chinese guys show up and start shredding the cab with bullets. Before they know it, Porter's behind them shooting at them. They try and reverse into him, but then he's under the car shooting at them. They can't win. Porter kills all the Chinese people except for Lucy Liu because, let's face it, she's Lucy Liu. I don't know a Mel Gibson alive who could kill a Lucy Liu. But while Porter is gun flirting with Lucy Liu, the outfit guys come and grab him and drag him off. Then he is tied to a chair, and then they are beating him up until he will tell them where Johnny is. He won't say a thing. Bronson shows up with the money, says, this is as close as you're gonna get to it, tell me where my son is, or I'm gonna torture you for days. If you tell me where he is, I'll kill you right away. That'll be that. And then they start taking a hammer to his bare toes, one at a time.
I'm waiting.
This little piggy went to the market.
They don't actually show you the beating, but they don't have to. An actor who's being hurt, if they use the expression right, that's all you need. And the sound effects are enough. Oh, gosh. Hammer to the toes. On the third toe, he says, okay, I'll give you the address. So they toss Porter in the trunk, and then they head to the address. And we see Rosie sitting there waiting in this room with Johnny handcuffed to a radiator. And then they're going up the building, and Porter is scrambling. He stabs through the back seat, and he's pulling his way through the trunk. Rosie's still pacing. Porter's scrambling through, and he gets up there, and he gets to the car phone, and he dials just as they're going through the door. And then the phone rings in the room. Bronson's like, what? Where is everybody? He goes to pick up the phone. Uh-oh, it was the room the outfit put the bomb in. Boom! Outfit is dead. Porter goes to pick up Rosie. He's got the money. He's got the girl. He's alive. The outfit's dead. Johnny's still tied to the radiator, but who cares about him? Porter outsmarted everybody, and he used the outfit's bomb against them at the very end. One step ahead of everybody. That's Porter. Well, there you have it. The good version of 1999's Payback, in my opinion. Now, when people are talking about 42, you'll know all about Brian Helgeland, and you'll be able to drop all this knowledge on him.